Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is November 15th, 2023, and Joan Laporta and Florentino Perez have both resigned from the board of directors of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Also, the club are currently in pole position to sign the Argentine Andres Iniesta. And finally, there is the small possibility of Luis Diaz playing for Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is Barca News' live stream, which is on every Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not to be confused with the post-match live analysis, which is the live streams that start right after Barcelona match ends, where we analyze the match. And this is the regular live stream where we discuss Barcelona's news. Now, as always, we'll do a segment of news, then we'll head to the chat section to answer any questions, get a discussion going. For those of you who will be watching the live stream when it ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the entire discussion. Now, having said all of that, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the bet us. And if you are looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise or any merchandise from any football team around the world, make sure you head to Kickback. Both links for Kickback and bet us are in the description. Now, let's dive right into the news because it's been revealed that Barcelona's president, Joan Laporta, and Real Madrid's president, Florentino Perez, entered into an agreement together where both presidents agreed to resign from the Royal Spanish Football Federation's board of directors. Now, as you already know, the former president of the Royal Spanish Football Federation was Luis Rubiales, who was removed from his post as the president of the federation after the incident during the Women's World Cup after Spain became the world champions and Luis Rubiales, while celebrating, kissed one of the players on the mouth. And as a result, he was removed from his post as the president of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. And for now, Pedro Rocha has been the one who's been running this federation as the interim president. Now, the Royal Spanish Football Federation are planning an election for next year, an election campaign where several candidates will, of course, participate, and then eventually a vote will be taken to decide who will be the next president of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. And it's been revealed that per agreement, both Joan Laporta and Florentino Perez agreed to resign simultaneously from the board of directors of the federation because they didn't want to interfere or be seen or be perceived as interfering in the election of the federation. Now, this was done in October, but it's just been revealed that it was per the agreement between the two presidents. Both presidents spoke to each other, came to an agreement that they were both resigned, and then they both submitted simultaneously the resignations letter to Pedro Rocha, which of course was accepted by Mr. Rocha, and both Laporta and Perez are no longer on the board of directors because, they don't want to participate in the elections because they don't want to be seen or perceived as meddling in the election of the next president of the federation. Now, I think this was, in my opinion, I think this was a smart move because whoever ends up being president, they can always be perceived that that person became president thanks to the interference of one or the other. For example, let's say, I don't know, Carles Puyol or Matteo Alemany decide to run and they win the presidency. You can only imagine all the tabloids, all the media, all the YouTubers the next day talking about how that person just won because Laporta or because Negreira or some crap like that. And of course, the same if a former Real Madrid player or club member does end up winning, then you could see how it can be perceived or how Florentino Perez could be accused of meddling in the election. So instead, both presidents, who do have a good personal relationship despite all the drama going on between Barcelona and Madrid, Florentino Perez and Joan Laporta do have a really good relationship between the two. And it seems so the two decided to wash their hands and instead resign from the board so they're not perceived as meddling with the elections. Now, let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. Do you think this was a good move by the presidents or by Joan Laporta, since we only care about Barcelona, since this is a Barcelona news channel? Let me know, and I will read your comments later on. All right, so let's dive into the chat section, and then we will talk about Joan Laporta and his promise to Xavi Hernandez. All right, I see some people were waiting for the stream to begin. Thank you for waiting. And Keston says, hey, Mo, got here early today. Haven't been feeling well past couple of days, but been keeping updated thanks to you. Great work. Keep it up. Thank you, Keston, for your comment, and thank you for watching the live stream. I hope you get well soon. You know, this is, I'm not sure where you are, but if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, this is obviously, it's the cold is starting. So it's flu season. It's cold season. So everybody stay safe at home. Make sure you wash your hands. If you're sick, don't go to work. Get others sick. Just stay safe, stay hydrated, and get some rest. All right, let's see. Alex says he's watching from Liberia, and Anthony says he's watching from the UAE. Awesome. My shout outs to everybody in Liberia and the UAE. And Marcelo says, awesome. I finally caught you live stream watching from Botswana. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever had anyone watch the live stream from Botswana. So thank you for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed the live stream, and hopefully I can see you more often in the live stream as well. We have from Nigeria. That's pretty cool. King City FC says, Mo, Barca women team is the one to watch. 100% agree. They beat Benfica yesterday. I think it was 5-0 if I'm not mistaken. I did watch. I caught the first half and it was 3-0, but then I had to work, so I didn't watch the second half. But definitely the women's team is the team to watch. If you watch them, they remind you of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. I actually was very lucky. And earlier this year, I went to the city of Barcelona. I watched the men's team at the Camp Nou. And I also got to see the women's team at the Johan Cruyff. And my God, I mean, the women's team just completely put the men's team to shame. I think like the women's team should one day stop by the Ciudad Deportiva and just, you know, teach Xavi and the team a few tricks here and there, because the way they play, it's absolutely beautiful. And speaking of players, let's get back in the news, and I'll keep reading the comments afterwards. But let's talk about Joan Laporta's promise to Xavi Hernandez. Now, as I reported in yesterday's video, Joan Laporta and Xavi Hernandez had a very serious meeting in order to discuss what's going on with the team. Of course, the team is going through a very tumultuous period where the team is not performing well at all. So both Xavi and Laporta met. Laporta communicated to Xavi Hernandez that he had his full faith in him, that he's going to revert the situation. And in turn, Xavi Hernandez promised Laporta that he will change things around, and he promised that the team will start performing well after that international break, which is set to end around, I think it's November 25th. That's when we play against Rayo Vallecano. Now, another thing that was discussed in this meeting between Laporta and Xavi Hernandez is that Laporta promised Xavi that he will do everything in his power to continue helping Xavi, giving him the tools that he needs to revert things around, in that he promises to do everything in his power to make the squad as competitive as possible. And if that means the inclusion of Vitor Roque, then Laporta promises Xavi that he will do everything in his power to bring Vitor Roque in the winter transfer market. Now, we know that Vitor Roque has signed with Barcelona. He will for sure come in the summer of 2024. Barcelona are working hard to try to bring him this winter transfer market. But of course, there's a lot of problems with the financial fair play rules, where Barcelona are currently over their wage limit, because their wage limit was reduced from 400 million to 270 million euros by La Liga in the summer. Now, Barcelona are still working with this goal in mind, again, to try to bring Vitor Roque, to figure out a way how to register his contract this January. And of course, I did mention in yesterday's video that La Liga just approved several measures to relax the financial fair play rules restrictions in La Liga, and that Barcelona also are owed 40 million euros for the sale of Barca Studios. So if Barcelona get that 40 million euros, plus the measures that La Liga just approved to relax the financial fair play rules, those two combined would be enough to register the contract of Vitor Roque January. Now, with this new bit of news that Laporta has promised Xavi everything in his power to bring Vitor Roque, there's been talks that maybe Laporta does have something up his sleeve, because Laporta is not a man to make empty promises. So if Laporta is promising Xavi that he will bring Vitor Roque in the winter, then most likely it will happen, because that's the kind of man Laporta is. When he promises something, he makes it happen. And of course, it is being reported that Barcelona are in the market right now to try to find a substitute for the German fund Libero, who owe Barcelona 40 million euros. And after this promise was leaked, there's even talks that Barcelona might already have someone to take the place of Libero to pay the 40 million euros that Barcelona are owed. In that way, Barcelona could bring Vitor Roque in January to Barcelona. So huge news. Laporta promising Xavi to do everything in his power to bring Vitor Roque, and now many reports saying that Barcelona are very close to finding a substitute for Libero, which again, if they can, and Barcelona receive those 40 million, Barcelona could bring Vitor Roque in the winter transfer market. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we will talk about the new Argentine wonder kid that Barcelona are favorites to sign. All right, where did we leave off? Let's see. James, he's watching from Ghana. That's amazing. And Gay says he's watching from Minnesota. All right, stay warm out there, my friend. I know it's Minnesota gets pretty cold and the winter is right around the corner. David, watching from Brazil. All right, I think you're the first person to watch from Brazil. So welcome to the live stream, David, and thank you for watching. And then Tim, who's always here in the live stream, says, I just don't understand Laporta, why he's doing anything with that rat Perez when Perez is doing everything he can against not just Barca, but Laporta too. I mean, look, we can analyze it from our own standpoint. The fact that Laporta stepped back from the Royal Spanish Federation, I think it's a smart move. Whether he should be doing it with Perez or not, that's a separate conversation. But I think it's smart, especially with everything going on with Negreira. You know, God forbid someone like Alemany or someone tied to Barcelona wins the presidency. You can only imagine everything that they're going to say and how tainted that presidency would be, because everybody will try to say Laporta influence or he paid Negreira or some crap like that. So why feed it? Why feed fuel to the fire when you can avoid it altogether? Okay, let's see what else. Keston, who says he's watching from Trinidad and Tobago. Someone taught me how to say it correctly, because I used to say Tobago, but then someone corrected me and said Tobago. So Trinidad and Tobago. Let's see. Ebiaka says, hey, Mo, the men's team have a lot to learn from the women's team. Yes, everything from possession to passing to circulating the ball to transitions to high press. I mean, there's so much the men's team could learn from the women's team. Is absolutely ridiculous. But let's get back to the news, because we have a lot of news to cover today. And the news is that Barcelona are in pole position to sign the Argentine wonder kid, who has been nicknamed the Argentine Andres Iniesta. Now, I talked about this guy, I think it was back in September. His name is Álvaro Montoro. He's a 16-year-old midfielder who currently plays in Argentina for the club Vélez Sarsfield. Now, this kid, Barcelona have been watching for quite some time. Lots of talents, very skilled player with a very bright future ahead of him. He has been dubbed as the Argentine Andres Iniesta because of the way he manipulates the ball, because of his close control of the ball. And Barcelona, again, been tracking for quite some time. But of course, Barcelona do have a lot of competition with clubs like Roma from the Serie A and clubs like Sevilla and Villarreal in La Liga. Now, Roma have already made an offer to Vélez Sarsfield to sign the player. The player has already rejected it. He's also visited Spain. He's been per invitation from Sevilla and Villarreal, where he has been there. He's visited the facilities, but did not give an answer to his entourage or agent. And it's reported that the reason he's doing this, that the reason he rejected Roma, the reason he's not really giving an answer in regards to Sevilla and Villarreal, it's because his dream is to play in Barcelona, and he doesn't want to accept any offers until he has heard from Barcelona. Now, Deco has been in contact with the player and his entourage, and in fact, Álvaro Montoro was in the city of Barcelona. I think it was a few months ago, where he visited the city, he visited the facilities, the Ciudad Esportiva, etc. So the club are very much in contact with the player and his entourage. They're keeping tabs of his situation. And given that his dream is to play in Barcelona, then it's reported that Barcelona are in pole position and are the favorites to sign the Argentine Iniesta. Now, his current club, Vélez Sarsfield, have also offered him his first professional contract, and he has not accepted it either. So not only is Barcelona favorites to sign him, but they could even end up signing him on a free cost. Now, this is great news because, again, very talented player, lots of promise. And I think these are the kind of signings that Barcelona should be making. Very young, talented players who don't cost much. In this case, it could even be free. But even if it's not free, paying 2, 3, 4, 5 million euros for a young player is how we should be operating. Because if he works out, then boom, you got a star for 5 million euros. And if he doesn't work out, who cares? You only paid 3, 4 million euros for him versus, spending 120 million euros on someone like Dembélé. He doesn't work out, and now you're out 120 million euros, right? So these are the kind of signings that Barcelona should be making. Plus, even if they don't work out, the fact that these players are so young, you could still sell them for a profit versus, buying someone who's 26, 27. Their value from there starts to go down. So if they don't work out, you're already losing money on day one. So these are the kind of signings that Barcelona should be making. Hopefully they make it. There are some reports saying that Barcelona could be making a move for him in the winter or maybe next summer. Of course, he is 16 years old, so Barcelona would technically not be able to sign him officially until he turns 18. But that's the news. Barcelona are favorites to sign Álvaro Montoro because he only wants to come to Barcelona. It's his dream to come to Barcelona, and Barcelona are keeping tabs of his situation. Now, let's get back into the chat section, and then we will talk about Serginho Dest. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Let's see. Where did we leave? Okay. King City says, I think we still need to give Xavi time to fix the problem. Look, a few months ago, I would have completely agreed with you. From day one, I've always said projects take time. And Xavi needs time to build his project. You cannot expect him to deliver results first season, not even second season. I don't even say third season. But the problem is that even as projects are still being built, and even as projects have yet to yield results, you could see the improvement. You can see the buildup. You could see the direction a project is heading, right? For example, Arteta's Arsenal, right? That project has yet to deliver results, right? They have not anymore. They're in their third season. Now, some might say it's a failed project. I don't think so, because you can see it improving. You can see it growing. You can see a system of play taking place. You can see the tactics. You can see the idea of play in place. Despite that the project has yet to yield results, you can see how it's growing and forming, right? In the case of Xavi's Barca, I don't see any of that. I don't see any system of play in place. I don't see any kind of identity, any kind of ideas, any kind of strategies. I don't see improvement. If anything, we've gotten worse. So I don't see anything, and that's the problem. So that's when I start thinking, okay, maybe it's not about time. Maybe we just need a new coach, because 2 years in, and we still don't see anything. It's kind of like building a building, right? The building might not be ready, but you can see it go up floor by floor, and you're like, okay, the building's being built. Yeah, sure, it's not ready yet, but you know eventually it will be. But if it's 2 years in and the lot is still empty and there's not a single wall or a single column coming out of the ground, then you're like, okay, this is what's going on here. They're obviously not building anything, right? So that's the problem with Xavi and giving him more time. All right, let's see. Roger says, Mo, good night. Watching from Tobago. Barca Athletic is also good to watch. Yes, Barca Athletic is always good to watch, just to keep tabs of the upcoming talent. Abbas says, hey, Mo, as a Barca fan, I really appreciate your effort to bring us the latest Barca update. Watching from Sierra Leone. Abbas, thank you so much for your comment. And thank you for watching the live stream. And let's get back to the news. I got carried away a little bit talking about Xavi and his project. But let's talk about Serginho Dest. Now, Dest, who has a contract with Barcelona until 2026, He's currently on loan to PSV Eindhoven in the Dutch league. And I talked about him, I think it was a month ago or maybe a month and a half ago. But I reported that Serginho Dest was actually having a good start to the season with his new club. He had become a starter. He had become an important piece of his current team. And while a month later or a month and a half later, however long it was when I made that video, things have only gotten better. And Dest has become really, really important for his team. He has become very, very important for his current coach. And as a result, his current manager has instructed PSV Eindhoven to activate his clause. Now, in Dest's contract, in his current loan with PSV Eindhoven, he has a clause, an option to buy worth 10 million euros that if activated, obviously he would be permanently transferred. And it seems that, again, PSV Eindhoven's coach has instructed PSV Eindhoven to pay the 10 million euros because they want him on a permanent transfer. And this is, of course, great news for Barcelona because on one hand, Barcelona have been trying to offload him for quite some time. And on the other hand, 10 million euros is very much welcomed given the club's financial situation. And then, of course, it also means removing his huge salary because Serginho Dest does have a big salary. He was signed during the Bartomeu years where Bartomeu used to love giving the club's money away. So by signing him, by offloading him permanently, you're getting rid of his huge salary off your books, which opens up space to register other players. You get 10 million euros in income. And of course, you get rid of a player that the club does not count on. So good news there. PSV Eindhoven ready to pay the 10 million euros for Serginho Dest. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we will talk about Luis Diaz and maybe the possibility of him playing for Barcelona. All right, let's see. Okay, it says, love the way you keep updating us. Thank you. Thank you very much for your words. J4 World also says, thanks, Mo. I appreciate your good work. First time joining your live. All right, I love it when I see people joining the live for the first time. Hopefully enjoy it, and hopefully I see you more and more often. All right, what else? King City says, Mo, I like all the young players we get in, but I think we need to get wingers that we need. Yes, I mean, look, Alvaro Montoro most likely will probably be a Barca Athletic player unless he really has a huge, growth and explosion. Then maybe he would be signed for the first team. But either way, I mean, he's 16, so that will be 2 years down the road. We're not talking about this summer. We're talking about 2 more years. Let's see what else. Romain says, how big of an impact do you think the injuries and constant international breaks have on our current performance? Obviously, they've played their role. The injuries have played their role. We lost Frankie, who has been absolutely crucial. We lost Pedri for more than 2 months, who's also absolutely crucial. We were without Lewandowski for a few weeks. We were without Koundé. Obviously, they play the role. But the problem is that there's still no system of play in place. And when you don't have a system of play in place, when your player gets injured, it affects you a lot more because now you're depending on individual talent. And when that talent is gone, now you're missing a big piece. But when you have a system in place where every player knows what their job is, what to do, you take out one player, you swap them out for another, the system continues to work. We saw that with Pep Guardiola's, with Luis Enrique's. Messi would get injured, the team would still play. Right? Obviously, it would be better with Messi, but the team would still perform. It would still win. The same with any other player. Any player would get injured, it would still work. But when you don't have any system in place, then the injuries become a lot more costly and they affect you a lot more. All right, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about. Wait, why am I putting my glasses on? We have to talk about the Colombian Luis Diaz, the 26-year-old left winger who currently plays at Liverpool, who has been going, unfortunately, through some tough time. His father was kidnapped not too long ago. Thankfully, the father has been released. He's back with his family. Everybody is safe. So my thoughts and prayers for Luis Diaz and his family, and hopefully they can all recover from this horrible incident, which thankfully resulted in everybody being fine and his father being reunited with the family. But the news is that his entourage today revealed that Liverpool and Luis Diaz's entourage are kind of expecting or ready that any day Barcelona could come and sit down to try to negotiate for the signing of the Colombian player. And the reason for that is that Luis Diaz's dream, his absolute dream, is to play in Barcelona. He's always been a fan of the club. He has said it a million times in his interviews, in his press conferences. He's always talked about his desire to play for Barcelona. Of course, Barcelona did try to sign him when he played for Porto in the Portuguese league. Barcelona tried to sign him. Laporta met with the club directors. The club met with Luis Diaz's entourage, but unfortunately, it was just way too much money, and Barcelona were unable to sign Luis Diaz, and as a result, he went to Liverpool. But despite him playing at Liverpool, his dream is still to play in Barcelona. He hopes to play in Barcelona before he retires. And despite him having a contract until 2027, it's reported that Liverpool have it already in their mind that one day they will have to sit down with Barcelona to negotiate for him, because they expect that Barcelona could come and sign the player, since, again, the player wants to come to Barcelona, and Barcelona did consider signing him in the past. Now, the only thing is that there's some reports saying that Liverpool would want to ask either for a lot of money or for some money and Frankie de Jong in exchange, which, if that's the case, that's never going to happen. Barcelona are never going to exchange Frankie de Jong for Luis Diaz, which, again, they shouldn't, because that would not make any sense. But that's the news. Luis Diaz, his dream is still to play for Barcelona. And of course, I do like to hear from you. So let me know in the chat section or in the comment section, would you like to see Luis Diaz playing for Barcelona? Let me know. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we'll do the final bit of news. And let's see. Ross says we should sell Rafinha to Newcastle and use that money for Leroy Sané. Like, I'm for... It's an interesting suggestion. I would get rid of Rafinha, but now to spend it on Sané. I mean, Sané is an excellent player. It's actually not a bad idea. I like that. Okay, let's see. Ross, my man Ross, says, would we ever go for Xavi Simons, you think? I mean, he is a Barca kid. I think we're past that point, because PSG, he's doing great now, and PSG have activated the clause, if I'm not mistaken, to rebuy him. So I don't think so, because PSG is never going to want to sell anyone to us, and if they do, they're going to want a lot of money. So I don't think so, at least not in the short term. I don't know, maybe down the road in 5 years, something happens, maybe. But for now, no. I don't see PSG wanting to sell Simons to us. And if they do, they're going to want a lot of money, which, again, Barcelona are not going to be able to afford. Ross says, why are Barca always trying to sign just good players and not the best ones? I don't even know how to answer that question. What do you mean? I'm like, who are the best ones? Mbappe? Haaland? Maybe because there's no money. Anyways. Tim says, Luis Diaz is a type of player Barca is missing at the moment. Okay. Gotcha. Let's see. One more, and then we'll do the last bits of news. And Al Hassan says, hello, Mo. I'm watching from Sierra Leone. All right. Another person from Sierra Leone. Thank you for watching. And shout out to all of my brothers and sisters in Sierra Leone. And let's do the last bit of news. Because right now, as you know, the Under-17 World Cup is going on in Indonesia. And our own Noah Darvich is absolutely killing it. He's leading Germany. He scored a goal and provided an assist against Mexico. He provided another assist against, I think it was New Zealand. Absolutely killing it. He's having a phenomenal World Cup. And that's, of course, great news for Barcelona, because Barcelona did sign him. He's currently at Barca Athletic. He's someone that has shown a lot of promise. A very skillful player. So very excited for the 17-year-old who is doing great at the World Cup. And hopefully he can come back to Barcelona and continue impressing at Barca Athletic, and one day we can see him in the first team. And that just goes to show you how much young talent we have. And if we can get our team to start functioning, I think we have a great team for many years, because whether it's the players on the first team like Gavi, Pedri, Balde, Araujo, who are so young and have many years ahead of them, And right behind him, there's a whole new generation coming right behind him in Barca Athletic, players who are in their teens. So, guys, very excited. The future looks very bright for Barcelona. So, very exciting. By the way, Marc Guiu is also doing really good with Spain. So, it's very exciting to see all this young talent doing well and flourishing. The other next bit of news is about Marcelo, Real Madrid's Marcelo, who gave an interview recently. You know, this happens a lot during the international breaks. There's a lot of interviews because, you know, there's not a lot going on with clubs being off. But Marcelo gave an interview, I think it was to Sport, and he spoke about his strategy to stop Lionel Messi. Of course, Messi, especially in his prime, was an absolute nightmare for Real Madrid in the Clásico matches. We all saw how Ramos and Pepe used to always employ very dirty and disgusting tactics to stop Messi. But Marcelo had, I guess, a different approach, and he revealed what his approach was. And I will make this bigger for you. But Marcelo said, oh, why is this not? Wait, let me see how I can fix this. Okay. Says Messi didn't talk during the games, and I tried not to talk to him because he was quiet. He also added, we always said that we should leave him like that because if you decided to obstruct him, you would provoke him, and then he would get angry. And if he was angry, he became more and more difficult to handle. So very true words from Marcelo, and you can always watch the highlights of Messi. Whenever Messi got angry, he would be absolutely unstoppable. So very smart from Marcelo. Try not to provoke Messi because we all know what Messi was capable of. But I just thought it was a really cool thing that Marcelo said. So that's why I decided to share with you. Nothing that affects Barcelona, but it is, after all, the last bit of news. And I thought it was, I don't know, humorous little bit of news. But that's it for today, guys. That's all the news for today. Let's do a few more comments from the chat section, and then we will end the live stream. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Ray says, De Jong is the best midfielder in the world right now. I wouldn't exchange him for nobody. Agreed. And I don't think Barcelona would either. Let's see. Stell says, David, tell me a player. Oh, okay, that's not directed towards me. Tim says, Noah is doing crazy good. It would be more than a miracle if there would be one more player from the Masia, which is future star. I know Noah just joined Barca, but still big wow. Agreed. Yes. The Noah Darvich. Amazing signing by Barcelona. I think Barcelona, I don't know if it's just under Deco or just in general, have been doing a great job of signing young talent, whether it's, Miko Fay or Noah Darvich or even the young talent that's been coming up through La Masia. I think the way Barcelona are cultivating young talent, it's been absolutely amazing. And that's what we need to do because it's historically proven that whenever Barcelona has relied on its academy, that's when Barcelona have done the best. Whether it's Pep Guardiola's years or even before that, whenever Barcelona relied on their young talent, that's when Barcelona have done best, versus whenever we've decided to spend crazy money on players, that's when we have not done too good. Like, all the years under Sandro Rosé and Bartomeu, where we spent hundreds of millions of euros signing players that never worked out. So very exciting time for Barcelona, whether it's the young players on the first team or the young players in Barca Athletic or the young players in the Juvenil and teams before them. Very exciting time for Barcelona. We have players for many years to come. All right, one more, and then we will end the live stream. But Lamin says, I think Barca will be back on their normal performance soon because Frankie is back. I mean, look, even I wish that was right, but even before Frankie was injured, Barcelona were not performing well. I mean, Frankie helped, but Barcelona hasn't been Barcelona since last season. Even the second half of last season, it was horrible. So I don't think Frankie de Jong is going to solve our problems. I know that's what we all hope for, and that's what Xavi hopes for, but that's not it. One player cannot change the entire team, especially when there's no system of play. So don't hold your breath. Don't expect Barcelona to start playing, because even when all the players were healthy, it was still horrible football, boring football with no identity. So don't expect any miracles. All right, so that is it for today. Thank you all for joining the live stream, for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and your support. You guys are absolutely amazing. I will see you in tomorrow's video. So have a good night or good morning wherever you are. And as always, Visca Barça.